Hey everybody, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are gonna, well, we're not gonna attempt to do this, but we're gonna build a lander and hopefully land on the moon. We're not gonna probably launch this time. I think I have a lot of development that I need to do on this thing. So I am pretty much just gonna start with a lander can and attach some stuff to it. So I guess that looks good. So I'll be back in a minute when I get something that we can go outside and test to see how it's gonna work. I'll probably put lights and stuff on it. I'm gonna like try to make it like a full-size thing so it weighs enough that it will actually be a reasonable approximation of what we're gonna build. So I'll be back in a second. Alright, so this is what I've come up with. I thought about going with one of these bigger engines like this Atlas engine. I think this is actually part of one of the mod packs I have, putting that down there. But the reason I decided not to was these seemed like they actually, like, I think I have 8 of these on here, and they provide more thrust and more controllability, a little more stable because they're on this outside radius, so it actually should be more stable. I put a mech jeb on this. Let's see how much it actually weighs. What are we weighing in at? So we got a good surface to weight ratio there, thrust to weight ratio on the surface here. That's not too bad. A little under 11 tons. So I put these big sturdy gear on here. Probably doesn't necessarily need them, but it will give us a little more ability to actually smack this thing into the ground. I decided to go with an Apollo style thing, so we're going to have to build a command pod that's going to stay in orbit with one Kerbal in it, and the other 2 are going to come into this. So there has to be a docking ports. There's some solar panels, RCS tanks. I think I've thought of everything I need. The lights to help land, a ladder which will hopefully reach the ground. I don't know how far down these go, but I think that's good. It's Lander Mark 1. Let's go ahead and see how this thing actually performs. That thing in the middle, there's one of the giant, well, not giant, but the wider SAS modules. I decided to put the SAS on this portion of the ship because this is going to be landing, and the SAS will help me actually keep this thing in a good relation to the ground here. So let's get the gear going here first of all. Alright, I guess the first thing to do is just see if it can, how much thrust it's going to take off here. Oh, it's right on the verge there. A little bit more. Alright, we're hovering. That's encouraging. If we can do this on Kerbal, the mun is not going to be an issue. Alright, and then we went up a couple feet there and landed, so let's get a little bit more altitude going here. That actually flies pretty good. I'm going to try to land near the airstrip. I don't know if I can quite make it to the airstrip, because we are kind of tearing through the fuel a little bit quick, but that's a little worrying, because this is going to be the ascent stage as well on the mun, so that is kind of the only thing I'm really concerned about. Let's try to get a little braking going here. Just cut thrust for a second. Wait till we start falling. I might try landing this with mech jeb as well, just once or twice to see how mech jeb actually handles it, because once we start doing more routine landings and stuff, I'm not going to be handling them all. I'm going to do this one, but once we start doing this all the time, I'm not really going to bother myself. And we are tearing through the fuel. I wonder if I could get away with a couple less engines. That has me more than a little bit concerned. We need some stoppage going on here too. Easy does it, man. Alright, this is looking good. This is looking good. Alright, cool beans. That worked out pretty darn well. That was just like to test to see if we could actually land it in a specific place. Seems to fly pretty good. I don't know what sort of altitude this thing can actually stop from. I mean, if it can hover, it can stop itself as long as it has enough fuel at whatever speed it's going, I would think. I mean, that just kind of seems logical to me. So it actually handles pretty well. Do not have a whole lot of fuel. I don't want to bring any more with me than I have to, though. So I think what we should do is let's slap a big old rocket. I'm not gonna build like a fancy rocket here. Just any old rocket. Let's slap a rocket under this thing. And you know what? This part is really... Actually, I think I do need that part for now. Can I put this on if... Do I have to just move the engines? Let's try lifting the engines up just ever so slightly and see if that's what's causing my issue. So I had that on 8 symmetry. Can I put this up here now? Yes, I can. Okay, that fits better. We don't need this part. It's just unnecessary weight. Not that it matters that much, but why bring something we don't need? I don't know. That's probably good, right? That ought to be a fine test rocket. Let's put a couple of stability fins on this thing, though, just because it's probably not going to be the best. Alright, I think I'm going to try this landing with MechJeb. I just want to see, under ideal circumstances, if the fuel is enough to do this. So, let's go ahead and call this the... We'll just leave it as the Mark II, because I'm not going to save this one, actually, because this is just a temporary rocket. So, I'm not even going to update the save, actually. So, I'm just going to fire this rocket pretty much, get as high as I can, and let's get our landing stuff up here first. Get our landing guidance going, and probably the smart ASS as well, in case we need it. Let's get surface, no, that's surface heading. I guess we'll just use the kill rotation. I don't know. Anyway, make sure our staging looks right. It is. Whee! Wow, this thing's pretty fast with that mainsail. It's kind of silly times here. So basically, I guess MechJeb did that on its own. I didn't tell it to. It throttled down because we, want to limit our fuel usage to be matching the force of the wind, the air here. So we don't want to waste fuel. I guess it doesn't really matter that much. Let's tip this over a little bit. Let's get a little way away from Kerbal Space Center here. We don't have to go far. I just want to land on maybe a little bit rougher ground over that away, actually. This ought to give us enough of an arc that will land over there somewhere. So getting ready to kill the engines here. Now, I actually probably will have a stage sort of similar to this stage on the actual thing that we send to the moon to be a, to decelerate most of the way towards the actual moon. Terminal velocity, oh god. Terminal velocity is the word I was trying to think of. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Let's just have it land wherever it feels the need to land. And I will attempt to land this thing myself probably too from a similar thing. I just want to see, let's get the gear down. I don't know if MechJeb's going to put the gear down or not. I am though. Just kind of curious to see if this thing is even capable of landing. So it's always a little worrying seeing MechJeb do this. It just does that. It basically rotates into the direction that you're traveling to get better aero braking, I guess, if there is air, that sort of stuff. And I guess it's how it actually knows where you're going. Is that? Yeah, that's the booster. That thing's going to be hitting the ground a little bit before us. Although we're probably falling at a relatively similar speed right now. Like, I don't know what its terminal velocity is, but it's probably not too different. Alright, we are definitely picking up some speed here. Yeah, you might want to start thinking about landing this thing, MechJeb. MechJeb is a terrifying thing to allow to land automatically, because I'm not even touching anything. I have the mouse. And just going to let it do what it feels is best to get us stopped, and it is always a little bit scary. It's kind of funny how the tail feather, the tail fins on those things kind of make them spin funny and stuff. Alright, MechJeb. That was a good amount of slowing down that the air did there. That's why it doesn't, you can trust it. It knows what it's doing. It's doing a little braking. Okay. And this is my favorite feature, is it actually tells you how far above the terrain you are rather than just your sea level. I think it's going to pull it off pretty easily, actually. So if we can land on Kerbal with that much fuel, it shouldn't be a problem to take off from the Mun again and get back into orbit with that much fuel. I'm feeling okay about this thing. So I just have to I probably will let the landing autopilot do the landing on the Mun. Or at least assist with it. Because that was really easy. It used a good amount of fuel though. It is concerning. But I think we'll stick with what we got. So the next phase of our development here, what do we want to do next then? This has all been pretty darn successful. I guess I just want to see what it can do with 6 engines instead of 8. I don't know how much this is going to screw everything up though. Are there any of those engines clipping into anything that matters? No, let's get rid of that decoupler too because we don't need that. Let's see if it can actually take off thusly. I'm not sure if it can. Because we're actually losing a pretty good amount of thrust from that. Let's get the gear down so we don't kill anybody here. Oh my god, it's tipping already. Yeah, it seems to fly actually just about as well. I probably don't have quite as much control over it, but that should help with the fuel consumption quite a bit. Okay, slow down. See if we can set this thing down. A little bit more, a little bit. Why does it seem like it's really unbalanced now, though? Oh god, oh god, oh god. I was paying attention. Let's set the mech jet back up right. I mean, not the mech jet, the SAS. Oh, lord. Whoa! Alright, the finer control definitely doesn't exist quite as well. Oh, darn it. Well, everybody lived. But that wouldn't be the best thing to actually happen on the Mun. I'm going to restart that just because I kind of got a little flustered there. And I should probably turn on the fine controls here too. I think that will probably help. Do I have the fine controls on? Yeah, I do. Okay. So let's turn that on while we're on the pad and nice and straight and get the gear up. Because it kind of took off when the gear is hitting. And we kind of like flung off in a weird way there too. So let's not do that again. I pretty much just try this same idea here. We'll land at a specific target, which will be the runway over here again. I actually like this lander pretty. I think it works pretty well. I'm not sure how much of a difference the number of engines is really making here. It seems like it's still consuming fuel at a pretty quick rate because we have to have the throttle up at a higher level than it would be otherwise, so it kind of balances out. Nice and easy. Kind of wish I had finer throttle control. The throttle kind of gets adjusted by a larger amount than I would like when I make adjustments, but that was more than I wanted to do for a drop. I thought I was closer to the ground. But anyway, the fundamentals of it are working. One other thing that I've learned to check with any vehicle before you actually bring it anywhere is that the ladders actually work right. It's very important because if we get to the Mun, I mean, we can jump higher and stuff, but I want to make sure they can get back in and out of this thing. It's pretty annoying if you get all the way there and you can't. So let's extend the ladder. I'm gonna wait for IVA until EVA, I should say, until that's extended. We'll send Bill down, whatever. Bill does a lot of this kind of test pilot crap for me. And bam, that worked out pretty darn well. Yeah, so it's a decent lander. I think it'll work. Let's get a publicity shot here. He looks pretty comfortable and happy there. I think he's feeling good about this lander. I wonder if he's going to be one of the ones that it selects to go to the Mun. If it is, he may be the first man to walk on the Mun in my program. You know, obviously, it's happening all over the place. Lots of people are playing this game, but first one on my program. So I'm feeling good about this lander. I think at this point we can probably, let's just do it in this episode. I'm going to go to the vehicle assembly building and try to build a rocket that will be capable of actually getting to the Mun with a command pod on top of it and stuff too. So I will be back when that's done. Alright, so I did a little bit of messing around here. I used the subassembly loader to load this in so that we'd have the correct command pod as the primary command pod where the Kerbals are going to load in. So we have a 3-man cabin here. This is going to be the return stage to come back from the Mun. Of course, it decouples from the lander in orbit. That's why there's a shielded docking port, because I think they look cooler when you can use them. I try to. And then we got another docking port down on top of the actual lander. This is the same exact lander that we tested out on the launch pad. It seems to work. I probably do need to fix one thing about this. No, it loaded it from the other loader. Okay, cool. So the total weight on this thing now stands at 23.5 tons thereabouts. So this actually weighs a pretty equal amount, a little bit more, but pretty equal to the actual lander. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now I just need to actually build the thing that's going to lift this thing into orbit. We're probably just going to go on an orbital trajectory first to test all the systems before we actually land, because I just want to see if the rocket can even get us there. It depends on how much fuel I have. If there's a good enough amount of fuel, we'll make an attempt to land on the first go, but I don't really know how much fuel this is going to require to get launched up. I think my usual... Which one is it? Is it the lifter? Is that the normal? That's not the normal one. Which one? What did I call it? I don't even remember. Well, I may have to go reload one of the machines that has that. But anyway, I'm going to get some sort of lifter together and I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, I basically just took my normal lifter that I've been using for orbital stuff and added 2 more fuel tanks to it, so it's got 6 in asparagus staging now. I still kept the mainsail as the main engine here, and then all these smaller, which ones are they? Are they these ones? I think they're these ones? The LT40, the 45 version. Whatever. Anyway, I believe it strutted sufficiently well. Just kind of looking it over one more time. I got all my staging sorted out. It all looks pretty good. So really the only thing to do is light this candle and see what happens. Oh yeah, probably add some doohickeys to it as well and get those set up in a proper stage. Put them like off center so they don't cause issues with the tail fins there. And those need their own stage so we don't end up separating stuff too early. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. And I'll actually keep recording for this because this is going to be a case of actual new untested systems going into place here. So we'll do this launch. Alrighty, we got our brave crew here. We're going to go ahead and get our ascent guidance going. I am going to let MechJeb do our orbital maneuvers here, so we don't want it to separate any further than this stack here. So we'll let it go to step 5. I'm hoping that this can be our injection. That is wobbling really. Before we do it, I need to fix some of this wobbling. That is worrying, to be honest. The amount of wobbling that's going on down there. Not exciting. When in doubt, strut it up. I think these are already strutted, but maybe the struts came undone? They're kind of glitched inside there. I'm going to add struts like across yonder as well, and we'll call that good. I think that will work out. I have high hopes. Alright, so as we were doing, let's hope there's a little less wobbling. So let's set that to stage 5. Everything looks good. We got our limit to terminal velocity turned on. I don't know if that's going to be an issue, this thing exceeding terminal velocity. Probably not, because it is honking huge. Let's go ahead and do this. Holy moly, I hope that was just the launch platform. Okay. I don't know why those things have been exploding every single time I've been using them lately. I really couldn't tell you why. Alright, it's just a little wobbly. Just a smidge. I'm getting really bad frame rate during this launch. That's not good. It probably does have a lot of parts in it. There's a lot of physics going on. But yeah, that is wobbling a little more than I care to see there. That is a little bit worrying. Definitely didn't need to limit myself to terminal velocity here. We're nowhere near it. Kind of thought that was going to be the case, but I just always leave that on anyway. It's good practice. So we're only going to be 3,000 meters up when we separate this first stage. I love those Separatrons. Make my life a lot easier. You don't have to worry so much about crap crashing into each other. While the frames are dropping even further, but that was a worrying noise. I hope that was just the parts crashing. I think it was. I think they hit the ground. Alright, so we're getting some speed up. Like I said, I'm hoping that we're going to have enough fuel left in the main stage after we achieve orbit that I can use that for the maneuver to get to the Mun and to actually do most of the braking. And then just ditch it on the moon. I hope that was stuff crashing. I think it was. That was probably stuff crashing that time for sure, because that was loud. Alright. Yeah, let's watch these Separatrons do their Separatronness. Yeah. Look at them all spinny. Rockets always look so cool in this stage. Asparagus staging is pretty sweet. Whoever invented that was a genius. Now we're doing alright on the fuel. We're up to almost 20,000 meters now, so we should be picking up some serious speed now that the atmosphere is thinning out. Let's get a look at the map. What the... What just happened? I would have liked to have seen what happened. Why did you have to do that when I was in the map screen? Oh well. All is not lost. Alright, so that's not so great. Would you... You're not going to decouple, are you? Why are you not decoupling? Why are you not decoupling? I can't control it because I've separated. It is decoupled, I think. The force of the air or whatever. There we go. We're separated now. Get out of my face. Crazy engine. What the heck happened? Huh. They all look really... Well, I guess Wilbur there doesn't look that happy. They all look really happy. I guess they should be happy to be alive. Did these deploy? They must have deployed. They're blue. I guess that means they've deployed. Don't know why... all the engines are on this stage. I guess because the staging got destroyed, or I don't know what happened. Alright, there's our parachutes. At least we'll find out if this thing can return to Kerbin or not. I didn't test that. I figured these would be more than enough parachutes to actually get us back, but look at all that debris. I wonder what happened. It must have just like wiggled itself badly enough that it blew up. I kind of wish I saw that whole thing. That was a spectacular crash. I still hear an engine. Yeah, there it is. It's just doing its thing. Don't worry. That's pretty funny. That thing's got a pretty good fuel range, actually. Alright, are we actually going to be able to stop? 4 of these bad boys like lowered my a lot of my parts from my polar base, so I'm assuming that it will be fine. That thing is going to be hitting the sea at a pretty high rate of speed. Yeah, we're going to have to strut some stuff up. Could we please land? I don't want to time warp, because a lot of times things go crazy when you time warp. At least we still didn't... I mean, I believe I lost one Kerbonaut since I've been playing again, crashing a plane. But it's been relatively death-free. Lots of parts landing. We're not even going to kill everybody on the ground because we landed out in the sea. Nice. Alright, parachutes. Do your stuff. Oh yeah, they're fine. They are fine and dandy. So I'm not even going to wait for the splashdown because we know they're going slow enough. What happened here? That's just damaged by the exhaust. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. So... structural failure between protective rocket nose. That's probably just from the crashing. Yeah, that's all crashing into the terrain. Which it's hard to tell because some of these are just from the stages separating, which you would usually see. Okay, this is where the crap went awry here. This is where things went bad. So, fuel tank collided with the big orange fuel tank. So it seems like everything kind of like crushed in the middle somewhere. Is what I'm seeing here. Is everything strutted in here? There is a strut there. Is it? It doesn't seem to be attached to anything. Sometimes that that parts loader just does not work out like you might want. Let's just attach it somewhere. I didn't have my symmetry on, so do like 3. That ought to work, and that ought to help things out down in that department just a little bit. Now, just because I'm paranoid and I don't want things all going awry again, let's add just a couple of these bad boys. Dead. Come on, man. Come on. I know you can do this. I know you can do this. Okay, it looks stupid, but it works. We still have these things which actually aren't attached to anything for whatever reason, so we'll strut that up. Is that another strut there? It sure is. We don't need that. Get our parts count down just a little bit. And then let's just, for the sake of sanity and everybody feeling happier and safer, let's just do some of that. I think that they'll decouple just fine still. Alright, let's go ahead and call this the Mark II, actually. Even though it's not... I don't know that that's really worthy of a Mark designation. It's just a bunch of struts. But let's see what happens this time. Get our autopilot on. Stop at stage 5. I'm going to move this ascent guidance thing over here just so it's a little more out of the way. Alright, everything's still looking good. Hey, they got right back on. They don't even care. They're like, you know what? Didn't go right last time, but we have faith in the engineering department. They got it sorted out. They're brave men. I always like this for you too. Anyway. So we were at like 21 or so thousand meters, maybe even 22 or 23 when that happened. I know I was just talking about being at 20 because the atmosphere was thinning out. So I know we were past the 20,000 mark. So I'm going to pay some extra attention when we get up to that phase of the launch here. Alright, well it seems like nothing's happened. We're at about 40,000 meters now too. So I guess those extra struts seem to have made the difference. I'm scared, but I'm going to go to the map here We'll be reaching orbit pretty soon. We're gonna have most of this tank full still. That's pretty sweet. It means we should be in pretty good shape for our transfer to the Mun, and then I'm gonna use it to burn off a lot of our speed, I think, too. Because I think what I'm gonna do is we get into an orbit. We're gonna separate these two ships, leave, of course, the command pod up where it is. But this section's gonna stay connected, and I'm gonna use this for some of the braking to deorbit from the moon, and then I won't have to use so much fuel to get slowed down and whatnot. Seems like a good plan to me. I don't think I've ever landed a manned vehicle on the Mun. So, from here on out, everything we do is stuff I have not done before, so that's kind of exciting. I believe in my series earlier from last year, my manned mission to the moon ended up getting kind of screwed up because of time warp, and then I kind of abandoned the game for a while, and they updated a bunch and what have you, so I came back. So, man, it's really dark. Not gonna be able to see much that's going on. I guess there's not much to see. I kind of don't want to turn on the lights though and waste any fuel, or not fuel, battery rather. It's because I don't want to extend those solar panels till we're safely down on the surface. Alright, I don't know what just happened there, why the camera decided to do that, but it did. Alright, good enough, MechJep, good enough, thank you. Just stop that rotation happening. Now it is time to figure out what the heck we're doing. So there is our friend, the Mun. And, you know, this is really annoying when this happens. Sometimes MechJep gets the orbit like a little too perfect. And it gets these apoapsis and stuff all wiggly, so I'm just gonna stop that happening. So if I start my burn like yonder-ish, that seems like a reasonable place to do this from. See what we get. Would you not try to add another maneuver? Still, like, maneuver nodes are nice and all. Still a little wonky planning stuff sometimes, though. It's not a perfect system. Alright, that is like a bajillion miles out. How much closer can we get? That is still a bajillion miles out. That is equally a bajillion miles out. So, which way would I move this to make it better? Oh god, it is wiggling. It is wiggling like nobody's business. So, I think what we should probably do, burn a little later. What is even happening with that one? We got a decent periapsis there. That is confusing what it's telling me is going to happen, but we're going to go with that. That seems like it is fine with me, so let's execute it. How long? That is not going to be a 4-second burn game. I don't really know how to tell you that. This mainsail's powerful, but it's definitely not that powerful. I'm gonna flick it on just for a second. Maybe? Oh, it won't let me flick it on. Usually if you like kind of just tap the engine, it gets you a more accurate burn time. But we were accelerated. There we go. That's more accurate. 44 seconds, I believe. Let's see how this thing actually turns out here. So we shouldn't collide with the moon. I think that's what it's telling me. That is a weird orbital path that we're going to be taking, though. I guess we'd be just on a return trajectory for Kerbin with this, which is fairly nifty. We'd be coming like straight down. That's actually kind of a cool burn. Not that I really want to do that. All right, MechJeb, good enough. Yeah. What did we end up with here? A crazy freaking orbit. What have you done to me? That last little bit screwed everything up, I think. Kind of, a little bit, but... Oh, why would you do this to me? Well, I am going to time warp to... I was going to put a maneuver node there, because that's a good way to get it to actually time warp to a spot you want it to go to. So, time warp to maneuver node, and we will give that a 15-second... Well, actually, let's give it no lead time. It doesn't need a lead time. Let's just hope this works out. I've never had this happen with a lunar encounter before. It's very strange. Yeah, I guess it's just gonna snap us over enough to be all weird. Abort. The time warp. Now what can we do? Let's remove the node so it's less confusing. We could circularize the orbit at our periapsis. Alright, so we'll have achieved orbit at this point with a pretty decent amount of fuel left, I believe. Which is exciting. Oh, there it is. How terribly exciting. So I'm going to get an orbit established because I actually want to pick my landing site. I would prefer, of course, to land on the light side of the moon, so it's a little bit easier to manage. Which, unfortunately, it's currently facing away from Kerbal. But, what are you going to do? I'm going to take a screenshot is what I'm going to do. Because that is purdy. Some of these end up being my thumbnails. Yeah, so... I would rather... I think we're going to end up with rocket debris possibly trapped in orbit with us here. Which is a little unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Alright, now let's turn on... What are you doing now, game? Stop. It's a good enough orbit. Alright, so let's think this through. We don't have much fuel left, but it might be enough to deorbit this thing. Why are you spinning around like this? What is happening, game? Calm down. Because the thing I'm worried about is maneuvering back up here and docking with this, but I guess it will work out. I have no idea what the ship is doing. It's being really stupid. Let's stop this ship, please. Please. Whew. Okay. This SAS just wants to, like, shake the ship apart for some reason. So I guess first things first, I actually do want the SAS on because we need to do a crew transfer, which, stupid, I didn't check to make sure that crew hatch still worked. I just realized that there is a parachute on top of that. Let's send Bill down. Okay, it worked. Where is the hatch on the lander? I didn't line up those hatches, did I? Well, that was a smooth move on my part, wasn't it? I should have definitely just put ladders and stuff so I could have done this in a more reasonable fashion. That's a shame. That is a darn shame. Alright, what? Why are you firing so much RCS? Calm down, calm down. Get his little light on, make this a little bit simpler. Right there we are. Whoa. I still am getting used to these RCS controls. They just seem kind of weird to me. They're very different than the ship controls, which you know, kind of expect. Alright, we got one guy aboard the lander can right now, right? Yeah, it shows them all being over there, but they're not. I guess we could have done this on the Mun, but I mean on Kerbal, but whatever. And we'll send Dundee over because I like his name. They really do need to make these crew transfers easier. I know there's like a plugin called Crew Manifest or something like that. But I don't have that. It's like a third-party thing. Please stop. There we go. Right at the hatch. Come on. There we go. We got it. Oh, we let go, though. Recover! Recover! Why would you do that? You are the worst spaceman who has ever existed. Easy, easy. It's just the camera is kind of weird and stuff too. How it's just locked on. I don't like this a whole lot. I guess I'll get used to it. In the future, I gotta line up my hatches better. That'd be a smart thing to do. Right, we got a ladder. Grab. Go. He did it again! Why would you do that again? Let's go for the lower part of the ladder, I guess. The other guy got in without any problem, Dundee. Maybe you were not the man I thought you were. Alright, he boarded. Kind of in a glitchy fashion, but he boarded. Alright, so we have 2 down there. So, fingers crossed that this will all work the way it's supposed to. Let's go ahead and... I'm first of all just going to get pointed. I guess it doesn't matter which way I point when I decouple. Let's decouple the command module. And have fun orbiting the Mun, man. Alright, so where is our retrograde marker at? Back this way somewhere. Is this thing gonna stay? That's gonna screw up my docking. I thought that thing... The struts kept it attached. It is just one mishap. Well, I guess it's actually gone pretty well, but my space program is just mishap after mishap. I thought that thing would detach all the way. I should have known. There's a lot of different decouplers and stuff now, and it's a little bit confusing which does what. I mean, those arrows I know mean that's the way you want it to point, but... Alright, we didn't choose a landing site, actually. Let's hold on. I got all distracted. So... We're too late for that crater, even though that's a kind of cool crater. Kind of like to have views of Kerbin. If we go here, probably see a Kerbal rise, whatever you want to call it. So let's... I think the most efficient way is going to be to do a maneuver. Oh, that is the wrong way. Sort of like that. Actually, it'd be better to come in on like a grazing orbit and then burn off our velocity. I think that would actually be even more efficient, but this will be efficient enough. Let's go ahead and get facing the correct way. We don't need you right now, maneuver planner. Alright, so we have 3 minutes until burn. I don't know how good this ship's going to do at actually stopping itself. Let's warp a little bit. My chair is really noisy right now. It keeps making those weird popping noises. So we can't estimate the burn time, probably because I just... Really? That was not it. Probably because of fuel issues, I would imagine. I'd kind of like to know how much... Well, I guess we've gone over the burn time now, haven't we? I wasn't paying attention. And the camera flipped out. Lock it off again. Look at that, it's just making things worse. So delete you so you're not distracting me. We're going to be coming up. If the Mun is going this way, this is the sunrise side, I think. Yeah, that ought to work. So, how are we going to handle this then? I guess right now we're just going to chill. I'm going to use up as much of this fuel as I can. I really hope this decoupling... So, that's going to stick with this section. That means that's going to crash. That'll be fine. I was going to say, I hope it doesn't screw up this section's landing gear or anything, but it should be just fine because of the way that worked out. That's kind of handy, actually. Nice view of Kerbin, though. Where is the Kerbal Space Center? I think it's the other... That's that big continent, I think. So I think it's like over that way. I can't quite see it yet. Alright, how close to the ground do I want to do this before I actually start burning? That's going to be a pretty steep angle. Let's warp a smidgen. I got to be real careful with my warping here. There's a lot of crap in orbit of the moon now. But we're not leaving behind a rocket section, which was something I was actually kind of concerned about. I don't like leaving stuff like that behind. So I think we'll start getting oriented for our burn like right about here. Just trying to keep my eye on that. Yeah, we'll call that good. I'm going to probably fall short of my landing zone because of the way I'm going to do this burn. Because I kind of want to use up as much of this fuel to stop my my current speed. I guess you call it your horizontal speed. Which kind of means I'm going to land in a plane, I think. I could have probably planned this better, but oh well. I don't want to get too close to that dark side. Night on the moon is no fun. When you... Well, we have lights, but we don't have a lot of lights. I would prefer to make a daytime landing pretty much every time until I get more used to this. Alright, so I'm pretty much just going to burn. Not worrying too much about... Alright, and this episode's actually running a little long, so I'm going to cut here. We'll be right back in the next part and actually do the landing. Thanks for watching.